today I'm going to be reviewing Home Chef while cooking one of their meals. Home Chef is basically a subscription meal kit. Right here I'm just going to be grabbing the bag that we're going to be cooking. We're going to be making Cajun chicken thigh cornbread pie. I really like how they individually bag the ingredients, so it makes it super simple to know which ingredients you need for a specific recipe. They also individually bag all of the meat, which is nice because if anything spills out, it's protected in the extra bag. So this is the thighs that we'll be using for this recipe. Every recipe comes with this really nice image that includes what's in your box, customization options, and what you'll need. So for this, we're going to need olive oil, salt, cooking spray, a mixing bowl, a nonstick pan, an oven-safe casserole dish. So I don't actually have a casserole dish, so we're improvising and we'll be using this kind of dish, and I'll just use some aluminum foil. Another thing I really like about Home Chef is it includes the prep and cook time at the bottom, the cook within days, the difficulty level, and the spice level, which I think is super important because if I'm busy or if I'm on the go, I can just pick a recipe that I know isn't going to take me as long. So on the back, it shows a before you cook section, which basically just tells you different things that you should do before you start cooking. This one says to thoroughly rinse and pat dry all of the produce, prepare a casserole dish with cooking spray, and to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull out all of our fresh produce. We have 1 red pepper, 2 green onions, 1 yellow onion, a packet of Cajun seasoning, 2 packets of sour cream, a bag of shredded cheddar cheese, 1 jalapeno pepper, a bag of the corn muffin mix, and then 2 carrots. So while I have everything laid out, I'm going to finish getting the rest of my stuff ready. I'm going to spray my cooking pan with cooking spray. Remember, this is supposed to be a casserole dish, but I don't have one. And then I'm going to grab a cutting board and begin to prepare all of my vegetables. The first step is to peel, trim, and cut the carrot into 1/4 inch slices at an angle. So I'm just going to peel my carrots, and while I do that, I'm going to briefly talk about Home Chef a little bit more. So I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer. This is not a sponsored video. I wouldn't mind if they sponsored me, but I genuinely just wanted to try a meal subscription. And when I had reached out to people and asked them which one I should try, a lot of people suggested Home Chef over HelloFresh because they said that they give bigger portions and they're more fresh. So I don't have anything to compare it off of because I've never used a meal subscription before, but so far I do like it. I was a little bit nervous about portion size, but they do give a decent portion. I ordered the 2 servings for myself and for my husband, but if you have children or if your significant other eats a lot, I definitely recommend getting the 4 portion size box. So the next step was to go ahead and have and peel the onions, so I began to do that and cut it into 1/2 inch dices. The next step is to stem, seed, remove ribs, and cut the red bell pepper into 1/4 inch dices just like the onion. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do that. One suggestion I do have is to separate everything in bowls. They want you to keep all of the ingredients separate because you're not using them all at the same time. And that was something I didn't do. I tried to just keep it on the cutting board and it started to get a little bit cluttered. I think one of the things that surprised me the most when I looked into the meal subscription kits was how many there actually was. I'm not gonna lie, this is definitely one of the pricier ones, but they had a really good opening promotion for military members. So if you're in the military, you can get 50% off of your first box. So it made my first box really cheap. And then you get 10% off every month following that. So every single meal kit does have different deals. I know that right now HelloFresh is $60 off. I know that they vary in price, so you kind of just have to figure out which one works for you. So the next step that you're going to do is to trim and thinly slice the green onions, keeping the white and the green part separate. So I'm just trying to do the best I can to keep everything separate on my little tiny cutting board. But like I said earlier, make sure you use a bowl. It's so much easier. So the next step is to stem the jalapeno, halve, seed, remove the ribs, and mince. So you can save the seeds if you want more spice in your dish. I personally did not, so I did clean out all of the seeds. Now I'm going to use my chopper to help mince the jalapeno just because I know I can't cut it small enough, but you don't need the chopper if you're really good at cutting these things. So I'm just going ahead and I'm mincing all of my jalapenos. Now I did put my jalapenos in a bowl just because I didn't want to get the spice or mix anything in. So the next step is to clean your chicken and then pat the chicken thighs dry. You don't have to worry about cutting any of the fat because that'll just tender when it's cooking and it adds extra flavor. That's the one thing I do like, even though their meat sizes are smaller in my opinion than what I would normally cook with. It does fill you up and all of the meat is very fresh. It's all made in the United States and it shows you exactly where the location of the meat was on the wrapper. So the next step is to make the corn batter. You're going to set aside 2 tablespoons of the corn mix for later. And then in a mixing bowl, you're going to combine the remaining corn muffin mix, half a cup of water, the shredded cheese, and then just the green portion of the onions because the rest you're going to save for later for garnish. Now this is one of the things that I didn't like. In the picture, the mix looks very thick, but for some reason mine looked very watery. Now if your mix is too thick, you can continue adding a tablespoon of water at a time until you reach your consistency, but it doesn't say anything about what to do if it's too watery. Is to start the filling, you're going to heat a large nonstick pan over a medium-high heat and add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Then you're going to add the chicken thighs, add the carrots, the red bell peppers. Then you're going to add the Cajun seasoning blend. Now when you add the jalapeno peppers, you just add it to taste. I didn't add all of them. Then you go ahead and add the onions and the white portion of the green onions, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, this is the next thing I will say. I didn't have a large pan at the time, so I just used this frying pan. It was a little bit difficult with everything in the pan because there was just so much. So definitely use a larger skillet. You're going to want to cook this until the meat reaches a temperature of 165, about 7 to 8 minutes. So next you're going to add the remaining corn muffin mix, the 2 tablespoons, and a 1/4 of a cup of water and bring it to a simmer. Once it's simmering, stir occasionally until it's slightly thickened. This takes about 1 to 2 minutes. So now I'm just going to go ahead and dump it into my baking dish. Remember, this should be a casserole. I'm going to try to push it to the side and use an aluminum foil to keep it in place, just to try to improvise. And then you're going to top the filling with the cornbread batter that you made earlier. And then it's going to go into the oven until the cornbread is golden brown, about 20 to 25 minutes. Then you're going to want to let it sit for about 5 minutes. This was my finished product. It doesn't exactly look like the picture, but this is my first ever thing. You're just going to want to top it with the sour cream, and then voila, you're all done with dinner.